Moataz, hi. Welcome to Electronic Music Live.
Hi, James. How are you?
Good. Thank you for coming on board. I'm really fascinated to learn a bit about, because I find learning a bit about early childhood and upbringings is a great way and a great window to sort of learn about someone and their and it's also it's also the foundations of someone's orientation of their career path and what led them to what they do. And so tell me a bit about your how did you end up in Amsterdam with your family, and is it being in Amsterdam, is that new for you?
I was born here in Amsterdam, and so I've been here my whole life. My parents are originally from Egypt. So my dad migrated to Amsterdam in the 70s, and then later when he met my mom in Egypt, she also made the transition from Egypt to the Netherlands. And I was born in 1987, so I'm a 80's baby, and from there on, I actually lived here my whole life, except for 3 years when I was 6. My parents decided that they wanted me and my sister to live in Cairo for a while. So we lived there for like 3 years. So I got a bit of the Arabic schooling as well, with everything that comes along with that. And then we came back to the Netherlands again while I was like 9, 10, almost 10 years old. And I had to actually learn the Dutch language again, but it wasn't as difficult because it was somewhere in my memory and it was easy to refresh, as to say. But that was the transition, and we also have some family here, so both places felt like home because we had family both in the Netherlands and in Egypt. And music-wise, my dad always used to have, and my mom as well, used to have cassettes out in the house. I remember them having this box of different drawers with different drawers, and all the drawers had like cassettes stacked in them, and that was my first introduction to both Arabic music and cassettes. As you can see in the back, I have quite a bit of cassettes now, but there was a moment where everybody threw away their cassettes, so I had to rekindle that love for cassettes at a certain moment. But it all started with my parents, and cassettes was also not just used for the music, but also for a way to send letters actually between family in Egypt and the Netherlands. So I remember them having also quite a few cassettes where there was just messages of family saying, "Hi, how are you doing?" Stuff like that.
That's really interesting how you and your family were using tapes to communicate and leaving sort of messages and letters through the on cassette. Was it difficult to actually get those tapes to and from?
Well, I guess music-wise, the music tapes, it was my parents. I guess there were places here in the Netherlands maybe where they bought it, but I never actually asked. But probably when they were in Egypt, they bought it at the shops there. I remember there used to be these kiosks on the streets of Cairo, where my parents are from, and the kiosks on the shops, they would have cassettes, and that's the places where people used to like get the newest albums. They even had these old phones where you could just call from home to the cassette place and ask them, is the newest cassette of, let's say, Hakim already in? And then if they'd say yes, you would run down to the kiosk and then get it.
What about the letters? Like, was it difficult to send the recorded tapes back and forth, like to your family and loved ones? Was that easy to do during, or was it, were there limitations in that process?
I'm not sure, to be honest, but I think it was just sending it out as if you're sending a letter, but it was an audio letter. Probably it was a bit more expensive because of the weight of the package. But I think that was just, they would just go to the post office and send them out, and other way around. But in general, sending post back and forth, specifically to Egypt, still up until today is quite a hassle, because of postal service in Egypt is not the best that you'll ever find out there.
Yeah, that's what I was sort of trying to understand is, were the difficulties in that process, and how long would it take, for a simple recording of a cassette, and then by the time they got your message and you got a response back, we're looking today, it's so easy to WhatsApp and send an email, like, this whole process would have taken a long time,
Yeah, absolutely. But I guess it was like phone calls were also available, but you would have much more limited amount of time, because a phone call was also quite expensive to do between Egypt and the Netherlands. So probably like really expressing your feelings and emotions, because I remember that was really what I found on the cassettes that I remember hearing back when I found a couple of these audio letters on cassettes, is that it was really taking the time to say how I remember my mom sending my grandma a cassette where it says, it's quite difficult being here and not being with family, and it's all new to me. And also talking about her relationship with my dad and all the ups and downs that comes with that. So I guess the cassette would give you much more time to talk about everything. And I remember also hearing a cassette from my grandma where my uncle was just walking in the house, and then she said to my uncle, come talk to your sister. And then he was like shouting, hey sister, how are you? Long time. And then leaving the house, So something like that. So it's the same, like also like a phone conversation, but you just have much more tape to tell your story, because like you had, I think, 2 different amounts of length of tape back in the day as a standard. You had the 90-minute tape on the side, and you had the 60-minute tape on the side. And back in the 80s, they had the 90-minute tape was more of the standard. So you had actually an hour and a half on each side to tell whatever you want to tell. So you have much more time than a phone call, where people are often just limited to probably just 20 minutes of a call that I believe you would buy a card out somewhere, and then you had this code that you need to write down in your phone, and then you could call somebody based on that limited time. So your message was much more urgent. Whatever was being said was much more urgent, because you just had 20 minutes to convey your message to the other person.
Yeah, it's something like, I don't know, romantic about that whole process, and beautiful. But
absolutely,
was tapes the medium in the household that you were sort of exposed to? Did your parents also have Arabic vinyl as well, and was it just Arabic in the home from your parents and growing up?
No, my parents didn't have vinyl. I don't remember them having vinyl, but I guess like that period that that also maybe relates to Egypt specifically, because in the 80s, this transition to cassettes was made quite easily, specifically because the cost efficiency of cassettes. So a lot of music and a lot of recordings were done on cassettes, while vinyl were much more something of the 70s or like up until the mid 70s. And cassettes was just the medium, because also like Egypt and other also Arabic countries, yeah, vinyl was like really an elite kind of medium, as to say, and it was used by labels to produce music for big artists, like in the more of the classic period for Abdul Halim Hafiz, Kulthum, and that line of people, those line of people. But in the 80s, you had much more, people who didn't align to a specific label or signed to a label that had much capital and just wanted to make music and sell it. So it was both on consumer side as a producing side, a much more used medium. It democratized music in a way, because you didn't have to go through labels to get your music heard. You could just produce it yourself and get it out there. And I guess that was also the reason why probably my parents had cassettes, because this was the medium to go to, also to get music or to send messages. Because I don't think it was something that was done easily to send messages on vinyl. I do know that in the 70s they used to do that with reel to reel. So the big reels were also used to send messages to family, etc. But that's not the era that my parents were into send messages.
And when did like your fascination for music and wanting to be involved in the music industry, when did that sort of evolve for you? And like from your early sort of childhood, was it something that you felt was something you wanted to get into?
Yeah, so I don't know what the specific like turning point was for me to get into music. I just remember that for me, music was always like kind of a place where I could escape. So specifically when there were headphones where you could just shut out all the noise outside, and I would just put my headphones on and not give a damn about anything that was happening out there. So I guess music was in itself a safe space, as to say. But I guess when I really started to get into the music was the moment that I remember that I was listening to music, and then I was adding melodies to whatever I was hearing. So I was trying to remix whatever I was hearing, or develop my own production to music that I was hearing. And then I remember buying like this music program called Magic's Music Maker. I don't know if this is something that was just in the Netherlands or also internationally known. There was this CD that I bought, I remember, from like 100 guilders at the time, Dutch guilders, from the money that I got for my birthday, and I just went to the toy store, because all the, how do you say, the PlayStation games and all the software stuff was sold at the toy store, and getting this Magic's Music Maker where I would just edit bits of music and then chopping and then putting a beat underneath it. And actually, I remember that one of the first songs that I had edited was actually an Kulthum song. Like I chopped it as a hip hop beat and then putting a beat underneath it.
Right on.
And that was the first moment that I really started producing. And then from there on, at high school, me and a friend of mine, a high school friend, decided to become like a producers duo, and we used to make beats, and we called ourselves Two Stupid Pro or Stupid Pros with a two instead of the TU. We did it as a two, and making beats. And then at a certain moment, we also like did beat battles, local beat battles with at the time a lot of hip hop beat makers, but we were more like poppy and also doing different other styles and stuff like that. And we won the first beat battle that we took part in. So that was a big thing for us. And then we just started producing for local artists. And at the height of our producing career, we did a song for a singer from the UK called Jodie Aisha. And we got the song back from her, and it featured a very known grime artist, aka Wiley, aka Esky Boy. So that was for us was also like a major thing. And then at a certain moment, I went into a certain direction with music, which was very specific and trying to get into the Arabic music, and he started like a professional career in a different direction. So yeah, I went into being Disco Arabesquo and DJing out also, because at the time I was also experimenting with DJing, but not specifically with Arabic music. But I found my niche, as to say, and then from there on, I just dove into it and never got out.
So when did Disco Arabesquo sort of start?
Yeah, I think it was around 2018, as I remember, because I remember starting up my Instagram account because I had these deal made with a local venue here in Amsterdam that I would be able to do like a gig with the music that I was collecting, because I really collected music like disco and funk music from the 80s and 90s. And then I started actually the Instagram account with the tag Disco Arab, where I wanted people to get familiar with the sound of that Disco Arabesquo experience, as to say. And I think it was in 2018. I'm going through my post to see what the first post was, and it was the 10th of October 2018. So that was the first post, right. But the idea was in my mind maybe just a bit before it. With the Instagram, I really wanted to let people, to make people hear the song that I was making. And at the time you had Red Light Radio here in Amsterdam, so very known for online radio. So I went there and I also did like a show where I mixed the music for an hour. And that was also, to get people acquainted with the sound of Disco Arabesquo.
How was it received in Amsterdam? And how has it been? Like, was it a slow kind of gradual, people becoming receptive, or was it well received from the start?
Yeah, but I think on a small scale. So I didn't have a lot of reach, as to say, at the time. So it was people who might have been listening to Red Light Radio and then just bumped in to what I was doing, and friends, family. I promoted on my own Facebook, so it was very local and on a small scale. But at a certain moment, like people I did not know started also tuning in and commenting on whatever I was doing and the mixes I was putting online on either my Mixcloud or SoundCloud or the songs that I uploaded. I also added was also part of different Facebook groups where I also posted the music that I had uploaded from cassettes or I had digitized from cassettes, and then people are like, who's this? What's this song? And then I started to gain a bit of following, and then from there on, it built up a certain people who were following the music I was doing and coming to the events I was doing here locally. But also what I was very surprised about is it didn't just stay within the borders of my own network, but it really reached people internationally that I never thought would happen. And I was very amazed about all the people being interested in the songs that I dug up, etc. And I think for me, when it really started to become serious, when I decided to really go to Cairo and dig for cassettes and music that, like, I found maybe one or two songs of a specific cassette on YouTube of people who would digitize music from cassette, but the whole album wasn't either on Spotify or any of the streaming platforms because the labels that used to push the music wasn't active anymore. Either the owner unfortunately had passed away, or they were just bankrupt, etc. And the music never made the transition from the cassette age to the digital streaming age.
And is that something that you wanted to do more with the label side of things? Is being able to provide that service by bringing more life to and awareness to long lost gems, or
Yeah. So the idea of the label, which I'm hoping to launch upcoming year, is to also like both reissue music that I think should be heard, that never really made the transition from that cassette age to the digital age. And if you find it online, it's often not in the best quality available, which is a pity because the music sometimes is really good, but just not taken care of in the right way. And the other side of what I would like to do with the label is to really also take some of the music and then also have friends and other artists to have a take on it, edit music, like bring music from that 70s, 80s, 90s period and edit it and make it maybe club friendly so that it also can be played out and have a new generation listen to it, and also it being having the right beat and having the amount of right bass and kick, etc., to be played out in the club, because some of the songs are good but don't have what it takes to be played out on the sound systems that are out there today. So it's often good to edit it. And some songs are uneditable, so it's not possible to edit it because it's already too good. So there are also some songs that I would never touch, that are just, I'm like, you cannot make this song any better than it already is.
And I like, in that process, are you trying to find the original composers and label owners to kind of like, is that part of what you're doing as well?
Yeah, 100%. If I don't find the right copyright owners, I don't reissue it. So
right.
And by reissuing, I also mean specifically putting it out in a way that is profitable both for either me as a label and the artist. It's the artist and the original copyright owner. So there are songs that I think are very important to archive and to put online so that it's available for people, because it has to be heard. But the moment that I start to be somebody who will profit from putting the music out, so people will buy vinyl or people will download the song or stream it in a way that is profitable for me, I have to have the arrangement set up with the original artist. And if I don't find the artist, I won't put it out, because that's unfair. It's their production, it's their music, it's their creativity. Yeah.
Is it difficult to get sort of like the original stems from these people, like from these artists? Like, is it difficult to get to find the original parts to be able to do remixes or edits for them?
When we say stems, I think we'd be talking about multi-track recordings, and specifically Arabic music. Multi-track recordings were very rare at the time. You really had to be at high-end studios, have a capital, really have an investment to do those kind of recordings. It did happen, but not very often. So often it was all just done on the reel to reel. So all the song, all the different layers of the music was on one recording. So when you find that recording, you cannot split up all the different layers. So you just have to work with that specific sound and remaster it / edit it in the best way possible that you can with that specific recording. So that's often what you would work with if you actually find the reel to reel, because I also often try to work with just the cassettes. And it's based on how good the quality of the cassette is, based on how good it was preserved, and also how often it was listened to. Because the more often with cassettes, the more often you listen to it, the more noise there is in the background of the cassette, and you have to denoise it. So take out the shh that is often in the back of the song. So it's a journey on itself to find the good quality. Like, I have one album that I want to reissue upcoming year, and I've been actually trying to find cassettes of the same album for over the last 2 years, and it's because it's quite a rare cassette. It took me quite a while, and eventually I found 4 different cassettes of the same album, and one of those 4 cassettes was the best. And then from there, I tried to digitize it and then remaster it. But it's a process. You have to be patient to really find the right sound and to have the quality good enough to wanting to reissue it, because it has to also be not just musically interesting, but also me as an audiophile. I think it's very important to have the right quality for people to hear and to be able to enjoy the music, sometimes even better than what the original cassette sounded like.
I want to circle back to the social media part of your journey, and how that was a vehicle to kind of reach more people. And and you mentioned before that it expanded internationally as well. How long did that take from that, your first post in October of 2018? How long did it take before you started to kind of create a bit of a ripple effect and grab the attention of people internationally?
I remember people from the UK reaching out saying, "Yo, this is cool." I remember people like Habibi Funk reaching out at a certain moment saying, "Yo, do you have some interesting songs, etc." So that was really nice to hear. And the thing is the more attention you get, which for me is maybe even the main reason for me to continue this work, is to have people who give you that love and the energy that will keep you going. And I guess when I did my first radio show was 2018, and then my first international gig was 2000, the January, February, March, April 2019. So it was the year after that I did my first international gig in Berlin. That it really started to become an international thing. So that also really gave me the sense that I'm doing something meaningful and people are really interested in all these songs and hearing that sound of that period in the 80s with the disco and funk and Arabic sounds and mashed up together that traditional sounds, but also those trendy sounds of that time and age.
It's interesting how in this sort of in the generation that we are in now in music and the music industry and with social media and how this you were able to find a niche and tell a story and a narrative, and once you found that, it was well received. Like, I mean, these are quite, we're going to get all marketing and these are quite fast results in terms of getting awareness and moving. But it seems that because of the authenticity of it all and the it seems like that was the magic part of it, like that was kind of like a no-brainer, and people loved it. People have and been enjoying it, and that seems to be what's been working for you. Why do you think, specifically now too, there's such a huge interest in the SWANA region, and what would be your explanation to this? Like, from an international level, why is the world waking up all of a sudden and not 10 years ago or 15 years ago?
To be honest, I think it's part of the social media itself, to be honest, that made this possible. It's because before the social media age, it was just the way the media industry was set up, where you often had one or two epicenters in the world that was just distributing everything around the world. Often music coming from the US, that from a consumerist based approach, we have to push our music as much as possible, and there was no music flowing back the other way. So you had the US providing music that would reach Africa, it would reach Asia, it would reach Europe, Latin America, wherever. And at the same time, the music that was produced there locally didn't really reach the other way around. But now with social media, it gives this freedom for people to find whatever they are interested in. If you provide it, people will just find you if they're already interested in music from that side of the world that they never heard of, because they were never given the chance to eat it up, because they were only provided with other type of music on the radio and on the telly and whatever medium that was pushing music towards them. And I think social media has created a bit of more of a way for not fully balancing out that power relation, but in just giving the possibility for music to go from the other way, from, in this specific sense, from the SWANA region to also reach Europe, to reach the US, to reach like other parts of the world, where normally there were just, how the music industry was set up, it was just one epicenter, which was the Hollywood slash music industry from the US and from Europe, that was pushing through to other parts of the world.
Yeah.
So it's more of the same power relationship that you find everywhere. Actually, it's not just in the music, but it's that capitalist setup where the people with the most capital would be able to push through to others with their products. And in this social media age, it shifted that power balance, and it gave people access to, in this sense, SWANA region music that was already there. I mean, I'm not inventing new music.
Yes,
I'm just picking up pieces of music from a period that people never heard of, and myself also never heard of, because I was exposed to that same music industry that just pushed one side of the world to the other parts of the world.
Yes, it seems obviously that we're in the age of more of a DIY approach to it all, and even now with Web3 on the rise, this is also creating more control for people, and to have more control of their own communities and their own fan bases, and it's fascinating. I think it's a really fun and exciting time, and I think that this is just the tip of the iceberg that we're seeing, and what's happening in the region, particularly in the SWANA region now, is extremely fascinating and exciting at the same time. I noticed that you've got a few releases now on your label, and what's coming out next?
So what I have right now is not under my own label out. It's more collaboration with other labels. So I'm not officially a record label yet. I have some ideas for releases for upcoming year, but the collaborations that I did were with WeWantsSounds, which is a label that does reissues from all different parts of the world, and I saw that they had an amazing catalog of Arabic music as well. So I got in touch with them, and we decided to work on this compilation of like Arabic disco and boogie, specifically from Egypt. And we did this compilation.
Shout out to Matt Robin.
Yeah, absolutely. Shout out to Matt Robin. And we did this compilation of music from the cassette collection that I have, some of my favorites, and I composed a list of songs, and we worked on it to get the music licensed through the copyright owners of the music in Egypt, which is a umbrella label that has different catalogs from different labels from back in the days, and this label is called Mazika. And then the next collaboration that I did was with Habibi Funk Records with Yanis, and we did this reissue of a singer from 1979 called Maha, and it was an album that she only did one recorded album, and the music was really good. So we decided to work on it together and put it out. And that is the latest release that is on the Habibi Funk Records. And we worked on that together. And starting upcoming year, I'm looking forward to also release some music, both reissues of old cassettes, but also edits with friends. Like I'm working on something with my dear friend Jamal from Ireland, also known as Moving Still.
Yes.
And we're going to do a vinyl with 2 songs that he edited from an old label as well that we were talking to for a while, and finally have a nice setup to put something out together. So I'm pretty much looking forward to that, and I'm also going to have I'm my club night, which is like a called Disco Arabesquo night, will also be the release party for the vinyl in January here in Amsterdam. So that will be a very nice moment where both the release will be coming out and Jamal will be coming over to Amsterdam, and we'll have a nice party here in Amsterdam and celebrate and make a nice make a nice event for the people here, because it's I'm really surprised about how both the club night as the music is really reaching people. And the last party that I did was in another city, actually, here in the Netherlands, in Utrecht, and it totally sold out. So I was really surprised, and the night was really better than I could have ever imagined. The amount of love that was there, and community, and people sending me message that they felt home away from home, and just indescribable to hear that, and to hear from people what it meant to have a night like this, where we were just diving into all the memorable songs that everybody knew from back in the days, so far away from home at the same time.
Amazing. Well, Moataz, it's been an absolute pleasure to chat with you and finally and have this conversation. I'm really looking forward to what you've got coming up next, and seeing what's more installed for the whole Disco Arabesquo experience, and what you've got planned, and looking forward to what you're doing with Moving Still too.
Yeah, thank you, man. Yeah, I'm. Thank you for having me, and I'm also looking forward to everything that is coming up. So it's it's a journey that I never know where it's going. So it's fun to keep on finding new ways of adding to the whole experience and the journey that keeps on getting better and more interesting day by day.
Thank you, Moataz. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it, Jared.